Petitioner for each item will be asked to come forward, state your name for the record, and present his or her request. The board will ask any questions they may have. Then anyone wishing to speak to the proposal will be asked to come forward to the microphone and express their opinion. If there are differences of opinion, each side will have 10 minutes to speak. Once your request is heard and the board's decision is rendered, you may leave the meeting. However, if you have questions for the staff, please wait until after the meeting is over to ask them, or you may contact staff at the office the following day. Once public testimony and discussion for a particular item is concluded, the members of the board will deliberate and render a decision. Members with a personal or financial interest in any request are required to recuse themselves from voting. All decisions by the Architectural Review Board are final. Any aggrieved parties may appeal a decision of the board of the City Council within 15 days for procedural issues only. If your request is denied by the board, petitioners may appeal the board's decision to circuit clerk within 30 days of meeting. We have, and I didn't count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 members present, and it takes 5 minutes to pass a 5 votes to pass a motion. But if because of the number of board members present you'd like to delay the request, please let us know at the time that your request is announced. Let me introduce our board members. I'm Elizabeth Brown, and we have Cedric Campbell, Jake Johnson, thank you, Jake, Jeremy Kelly, I see you, John Hayden, Hillary Morgan, and Kalia Bell, we're glad to have you back. And Katie Williams is not here today. Our land use staff is Christy Anderson, Paula Wade, and Ethan Fowler.
And Russell Stringer.
I believe that the urban forester is also here. Welcome. Did I forget someone? All right. All right. Well, our first project for the evening is Mary Ponds, Old Cloverdale, 1118 Magnolia Curve. Mary, there she is.
Hello.
Hello.
As the application says, I'm requesting permission to replace a falling down, pitiful chain link fence with a wood privacy fence and a metal gate in front of the building, around the side of the house.
All right. And we got the pictures up there.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any members of the board have any questions?
What you got against chain link?
Well, for one thing, this one's falling down.
I just got rid of one too.
It does look like it's seen it has done its service and time for retirement.
Right, and I do like the idea of a privacy fence, and as I say, this is what it will look like.
I like the way you've chosen to finish off the top.
I do too, yeah.
Yes. Nothing I like better than a dog-eared privacy fence. Blah. Terrible. All right. Any comments from the audience? Ms. Forrester, make your way to the podium.
Darby Forrester, representing the Old Cloverdale Association. We like the wooden fence and we like the metal fence. And it's better than chain link.
Which is a historic material.
That is true. All right. If there's no other discussion, may I have a motion?
Move to approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right, go. Build a fence.
Great, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. Joel Brailsford Garden District, 327 Finley Avenue.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I am proposing to remove the tree in the northwest corner of my house, the big one right there behind the point of the gable, the front porch gable. It is just, there you go, there's a picture where the trunk comes up. It's really only about a foot and a half away from the shingles, and as the tree gets larger, it's going to be more of a problem. I did speak with Mr. Stringer about that, and he can give you more information on his opinion. And we were proposing to put 2 trees in the right-of-way and to replace this tree here.
Okay, that's a good idea. That tree is too close to your house for sure.
Yeah, especially right there.
Yep.
And it's this past year we had 2 fairly large limbs drop on the house. They're about 6 inches in diameter. No damage, thankfully. But we do have another limb hanging. It's actually hanging by a fork. It's already disconnected from the tree. It's just hanging on another branch. And you can see my neighbor's house right there beside us too. So we got that large tree between our 2 houses.
Yes. All right. Comments from the board? Mr. Stringer, do you have any comments?
If you approve it, I'm going to help him install it.
All right. Any comments from the board? Ms. Calloway, how are you this evening? Fine.
I'm Laura Calloway with the Garden District Preservation Association. We do not have any objections to this tree removal.
All right. Any further discussion from the board?
Well, we hate to do it, but again, sometimes trees, they don't stop growing, so sometimes it's necessary.
May I have a motion, please?
Move to approve as submitted.
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Laura Calloway?
We are also seeking to remove a historic chain link fence, as well as part of a dilapidated board privacy fence that our 2 next door neighbors ago installed, probably 15 years ago, something like that, and it reached the end of its useful life. And we also want to remove the chain link gate that is at the front.
All right, and this is on the driveway side, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any comments from members, questions from members of the board? And you're going to do it like the gate on the other side of your house? Which is extremely handsome, I have to say.
Thank you. That's the plan.
Okay.
We wanted the solid board on the sides, but we prefer something that you can see through on the front so that nobody can be hiding behind.
Right. And I do have to say that you have the best maintained house on Winthrop Court or many other streets if we wanted to widen it.
Well,
It is for those of us who live on Winthrop Court, it's a hard standard that we have to come up to in order to do better than you.
Well, thank you. I brought my contractor with me.
He's very good. He's great, excellent at sidewalk repair too, I have noted.
Yes, he is.
All right, if there are no further questions or comments, may I have a motion?
I move to accept as proposed.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? All right.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Collier Neely? North Hall Street.
I'll have to do. I'm Carol King for Landmarks Foundation.
How are you today?
5 years on baby duty. We are requesting a change of material roof on 321 North Hull Street, which is located in the North Hull Street Historic District. There are 4 Victorians in a row, about 1890. 2 of them have since had their original roofs replaced, and there are 2 left. This is one of those. It has a diamond-shaped asbestos, hipped roof, which you can barely see there because it has a very large front gable as well. Yeah, that's better. So we're replacing that because it is starting to leak fairly badly.
All right.
The request is just for the high definition, GAF, architectural shingles. It will not include the wraparound front porch, but it does include on the back, I'm sorry we didn't have a picture on the back, there's a shed addition on the back which already has modern shingles on it.
Okay.
But they'll all be covered in the new material,
Okay.
minus the porch. There is woodwork replacement right there. A little bit of woodwork in the corners.
Okay. I see that.
Yeah.
Are there any comments from the audience on this project?
They did not specify a color of shingle, and that needs to be,
I was going to ask Ms. King, I think the staff is recommending a darker color, a charcoal or a slate
I was
color.
going to say there's a charcoal and a slate that were the consideration, and so it's
Okay, so it's going to be one of those, one
yeah,
of the
you
other?
tell me whether it's either one.
Either one would work. Just something dark or
Darker.
low profile.
Right.
Okay.
That was the plan. Yeah.
Okay.
that just needs to be part of a motion.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
All right.
I move to accept as proposed, including the addition of the slate gray or the charcoal color roof shingles.
All right.
Second.
Second?
I second.
All in favor? All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And Robert Robinson, Old Cloverdale, Ridge Avenue, 2024, 26, and 28. Mr. Robinson, what have you done?
Yes, ma'am, and these are 3 houses over right off Ridge Avenue. It's close to where Ridge Avenue, East Fairview, where Cloverdale Baptist Church is. But anyway, for the last 2 years, I have been restoring the house. They had bad drainage problems. In the bigger house, the wood floor was rotted out, the same is true as one of the smaller houses. But anyway, I did know about some of your rules in relation to paint colors and trees and alterations to the house, but I did not realize there was no parking on the place for the little houses to park at all. They had to park on Ridge Avenue. So I put 2 little parking pads, or one bigger parking pad behind the 2 little houses, and which were, I think 15 foot by 30, concrete was 6 inches, no wire mesh, it was rebar, it was real structural, and you cannot see these from the street, so that's why I didn't think it was any problem. And then there was also one smaller place, so you could turn around in from the bigger house, because the house is an alley beside the house. You cannot park in the alley because it gives access to other houses around. And so anyway, I did it for the parking, and of course the picture's a little crooked, but anyway, from the street you cannot even see
Right.
Yes, I put it on if you got one from that's the back of the house, right there in the picture. supposed to have one from the front of the house. In the front of the house, I did take one here that you cannot even see.
It's in there somewhere.
Hmm,
It's in there somewhere.
We got
okay.
5A.
And, anyway, if you tried to park in the yard because of the drainage problem, you would get stuck. So that was why they were done. And, that's the alleyway that you see. That's why you couldn't park on the other side. That
So
little-
your access to these houses is actually provided off the alley, not off of a
Yeah,
driveway?
you have to go on the alley. It's a public alley that's supposed to be maintained by Montgomery, which I've been kind of working with them to get the alley where water will go down the alley instead of going into the garage on the bigger house. But, anyway, so it's mainly to make the house a little bit more usable. Because when you back out, you gotta back out of the bigger house, going to Ridge Avenue a good distance, probably 300 foot, and then turn. And, matter of fact, I backed into the little telephone pole one day. But, anyway, so that's the houses were originally built in 1936, the bigger house. And the two little houses were built for World War II vets in 1945. Found a box full of memorabilia in the attic, and I was working on them. It has all kinds of letters and history of the house. But anyway, we did save it from going out. I had completely taken the floors out of the house. And so this was the last phase. After we do the pad, I was going to landscape with flowers and things like this. And the pads will be attractive. But you still wouldn't be able to see them from the street. So, but anyway, that's where I am.
All right. Do we have any comments from the board?
Ma'am?
I was asking if we had any comments from the board.
I've walked past these properties several times. I live on Maston Lane, just off Fairview, and I noticed after rain especially, I hadn't walked since you put the pad there, but I had noticed standing water and whatnot in the yard. I like the smaller houses in the front. I often thought that would be if I could transport one of those somewhere on the beach or someplace, that would be very nice to have, but.
Yeah, I did build a swale, but I can't finish it until the rain stops, in which the water, some of it that comes from the alley, will go all the way around the house and hit some of the city of Montgomery's drainage.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I did make the little houses better too. I took out the window unit air conditioners and anyway, repaired the hardwood floors that were within them.
I would say my only concern is that while you put the parking pad behind the two little houses, you seem to have taken up a lot of the front yard of the larger house in doing so. So it does affect that historic property. It may be behind the little houses so that we can't see it from the street, but it is sort of like in the front yard of the big house.
That's correct. And right there where it is, I'm going to have a natural area between the two.
Okay.
And I've got a landscape that's going, as soon as I can get some dry, I'm going to put in, I took out a lot of the old muck. And I'm going to put in more sand and topsoil and landscape it. So it will be attractive right there.
Okay. So you're going to sort of soften the edge of this parking pad on the side of the larger of the two houses.
Correct.
Okay.
It's right between the bigger pad and there's a space between them with a crepe myrtle kind of behind it. And that's where I was going to kind of put the natural area with some shrubs and things.
Okay.
Contracted a landscaper who's going to do that as soon as it dries up.
Okay. All right. Any other comments from the floor?
Before, as Darby's making her way up, a few years ago, you all did approve There's a duplex on the corner of Ridge and Thorn that uses the same alley, and you approved a rear parking area for that because they have alley access, but they don't have a driveway either.
Okay.
Darby Forrester with the Old Cloverdale Association. We certainly do prefer parking in the back, but I do think that the entire back is now going to be concrete. So you got the little third house back there. It's going to be looking out on concrete. You can see it if you're walking down Ridge if you're going toward Fairview. You can see part of it. But of course, it's better being in the back than in the front. We did have you were talking about, there's the big trench on the side of that little house when you're facing it on the left. And what are you going to do with that? Right. Okay. All right. Well, that would be a whole lot better when that is fixed. And just, anything in the future, anything that you do to the outside of the houses or outside, everything has to come to the, yeah. Hope so.
Any further comments from the board or from the audience? If so, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move to approve as presented, and that would presented includes the landscaping once all the construction is done to make sure that it is a soft appearance as possible.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right. Thank you, Mr. Robinson. All right. We have business tonight. First, the review of the minutes. Does anyone have any changes or additions to the minutes? If not, they stand approved as mailed to us. In other business, we have election of the chair and the vice chair.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
as I said earlier, in keeping with my belief, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I move to re-elect Ms. Brown chair and Ms. Williams vice chair of the Architectural Review Board.
I second this.
All right. All in favor? Opposed? Well, I thank you very much. Anytime you're ready to unseat me, just let me know.
I'll give you a holler.
All right. Call me up.
Don't be sitting by the phone.
All right. And we also have some expedited procedures that were presented through the mail from Christie and the urban forester. And
Does anyone need a copy to look at? Do y'all have it? Do y'all want to see what we're proposing?
Christy and Russell, I appreciate the amount of work that went into putting these things together, because we do get a lot of things here that really don't need to be reviewed by the board, because we're always going to say, cut down the Chinaberry tree, cut down the popcorn tree, that sort of thing. Does anybody have any you poor people in the audience are just now reading them. I will say that I find black doors harsh, but they're not unhistoric. So, well, they're unhistoric, I think, in our context. They're not unhistoric in an older context as a general rule. But if people want to paint their doors black and have them get hot as a firecracker and the paint peel off, that is fine with me. Well, it's true. It is true.
It may depend on the house. I mean, it could work. Can't think of one offhand, but.
Well, a lot of people are, I think the questions come up mostly with some of the colonial revival kind of stuff that looks earlier, it's from, but it doesn't happen a lot, but we've got that charcoal gray on there, and people are like, can I use black? And right now I say no. And if y'all want to say no, that's fine. But you do have, under the code, authority to add colors to the palette, and in doing so can also specify how those colors can be used. So if you find a splashy red that you think is universal, we can ensure that a whole house will not be painted that color.
Okay.
Well, my wife has informed me I have no taste or judgment when it comes to colors on homes or clothes. So I'm going to defer to others, and
we would be glad to make those decisions for you.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Ladies need to make certain decisions. I learned that a long time ago.
So really the two key ones, I just kind of added the black on the palette.
Okay.
The two key ones were looking at the tree situations where you always say yes. But we don't have the latitude at this point to say you don't have to come to the board. In the same way with fences, everything that returns at the rear corner of the house, there are certain styles that you will always approve.
Right.
And
I mean, as far as trees, I have a fleeting memory of going against Mr. Stringer's recommendation once in the years I've been here, and I cannot remember why. Of course, if it's an invasive species, I'm about the first one to say cut that sucker down twice.
See, it wasn't an invasive species, I know.
No, I know it wasn't. It was not. It was an oak or something else, and I don't remember why we didn't, but we didn't. But that's the only time I can remember. I mean, we certainly trust your judgment on these things. And again, if it's something that's a close call or whatnot, just tell them they got to come down here, and we'll take a look at it then. But
I mean, Russell is not going to approve the removal of a 60-inch oak tree
if he would,
that does not have significant condition issues.
If he would, I would ask him to come look at the pecan tree in my backyard. Every spring, I'm hoping that thing will not bloom out, and every spring it does, because I would love to get rid of it, but I don't call him because I know he's going to just look at me and like, no. So. Should we move to approve them as a group, or one issue at a time?
Since I know Ms. Brown has some hesitation on the black, I don't care either way.
Well, we're not supposed to make decisions based on my likes or dislikes. If we did that, we would have no dog-eared privacy fences.
Oh, okay.
So I'll be willing to go along with you on the black. I just don't happen to like it myself. Does anyone in the audience have any comments on these? Thank you.
So Darby.
All right. Do we need a motion to approve them, Christie?
You need to adopt them so we can
Okay.
use them. Yes, please.
May I have a motion to adopt these, please?
So moved.
Second.
A second? Thank you. All in favor? All right. Again, I thank you for your hard work, and we are